Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in Internet Shitlords. And today I am going to tell you guys what is my worst OSR heretical belief. But I'm also, and the main reason I'm here, is doing the review of Book 2 of Barrows and Borderlands. I know that we did Book 1, which is back here, quite some time ago. And if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to check out the reviews playlist on this channel. You should then easily be able to find the Barrows and Borderlands entry, and you could watch that, right? But I mean, you don't have to watch it first. You can watch this first and then that. And now that's the book where it tells you all about how to make characters in general. Now this is the one about magic in particular. Before I get to that, I want to make a clarification about something that I don't know if I don't think I actually did post it on this channel, but over on X, I had said that my science fiction RPG, Sons of Heaven, the manuscript is now complete, and I was going to submit it to, well, I did submit it to my publisher, Mad Hermit, and you know, I thought that Mad Hermit was going to be the one to publish it, but then, like, a day or two after I did the submission, everything apparently fine, Mad Hermit contacts me, and it's got nothing to do with me or with him, but there are some life issues that have gotten in the way for him, and he wasn't able to do it. But the good news is that Sons of Heaven is instead going to be published by Mad Scribe, the people who did Sword and Caravan. So you know, if you know Sword and Caravan, Baptism of Fire, The Last Vikings, you know, incredible layout, incredible art. I have every confidence. The Mad Scribe is also, he has his own RPG that he published called Ankur, which is this kind of Mesopotamian science fiction. I did a review of it once. And so I'm very confident he will be able to tap into the, like, image and look of the Sons of Heaven setting, which is quite unusual for you know, a sci-fi game, because it's got it's basically humans had been torn away from their homeworld, and then 20,000 years later they're now in the ruins of the great civilization that they once created. And essentially they know almost nothing about, like, what the broad earth culture was. They were slaves for like 9,000 years, and the only things they had were like some parts of the Old Testament, the Book of Changes, a list of 100 20th century speeches, and a book on Confucianism, you know. So like from there they rediscover monotheism, right? and they become kind of religious fanatics, some of them, you know. No, fanatic might not be the right term. They become devoutly religious, right? So they are. This is like in space, but not, you know, like usually the human groups in space are like the Federation, right? They don't believe in anything, and this is, of course, because I'm using historical elements to it, because it's really the Bronze Age collapse in space plus the Book of Judges and Daniel in space. That's not Daniel, sorry, Samuel. That's like it's a requisite, right? And it makes it really interesting to me, right? And actually, like, most of the other races are not super religious, except for one or two, but humans are. Right? And that's the only thing that holds them together, actually. So that it's a premise that you have to have when you have, like, if it's a catastrophic world collapse, right? Like, what's going to bring things back together? Not world, multi-world in this size, galactic collapse. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about that for now. But the point is, Sons of Heaven is still coming out. It's just not coming out with Mad Hermit. It's coming out with Mad Scribe. I don't know what's with all these mad people that want to publish my books, but I'm very grateful to both of them, because, you know, Mad Hermit's been fantastic with the Pundit files. So now let's get back to Barrows and Borderlands, right? If you saw the first one, you saw that Barrows and Borderlands has this very old school aesthetic. It is basically imitating the old D&D box set. But it has all of these weird, like, gonzo twists, right? Like there's radioactivity and black powder weapons and magic wastelands and things like that. It's super cool, right? Go check out that first review to see what that's about, right? Now here we have, oh yeah, by the way, Star Adventure is, yeah, if you like Star Adventure, you're going to like Sons of Heaven. The core rules are going to be pretty similar. Barrows and Borderlands is, it's just, to me, it's almost perfect, right? Like, it's almost a perfect mix of, like, an old school aesthetic with new school ideas that improve it, right? And here it is. I am going to tell you guys, you know that in the old school Companion 3, just like the old school Companion 1, I have tons of alternative magic systems, right? Like here you got like enchantment, glamour, miscellaneous, blah, blah, blah. All of those, everything there, dream magic. Well, Call of Saints is more religion than magic, but everything else is magic. Expanded magical technique lists, etc. My biggest heresy is that I actually think that the spellcasting rules in D&D are boring and suck, right? They lead to people making, books having 1,000 different spells, of which 90% of which no player will ever pick. They have no element of a sense of risk or of challenge, right? Like you automatically memorize them. There's no problem there. And you automatically cast them, and they'll always do what they're supposed to do, unless there's, somebody has some ring of spell turning or something, right? And to me, it's just, even aside from the fact that it has no, never mind that it's not medieval authentic or something, because it doesn't have to be medieval authentic. It just doesn't have the element of chaosness that Magic should have, for starters. And also it's a bean counting system, right? I don't like that sort of thing. So this is the section on Magic for the booklet on my booklet 2 out of 4, right? And happily, Barrows and Borderlands deals with this just like I did, like where there's an alternative way of handling things. So it starts with talking about like the basic casting rules. A caster must have at least one free hand and be able to speak and not be engaged in melee combat. Right. If they're struck or silenced before the spell activates, the magic fails. That's fine. And then you have rules for magical research. When a spellcaster wants a new spell, whether in a scroll, tome, self-created, they must attempt to learn it. It's a d20 roll under their prime requisite, modified by the difference between their caster level and the spell level, multiplied by 2. For example, a level 2 caster learning a level 5 spell must succeed with a +6 penalty to the roll. This is subject to referee, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then the first thing we see here that is different than old D&D is counter spells and magical duels. So there are rules here about, like, if you're a magic user or a cleric and somebody else casts a spell, you can try to declare a counter spell and try to thwart that magic, right? And it works by comparing the level, and you have to roll to determine if you successfully counterspell or not, right? So it gives it a magic duels type style of thing, not too different from how DCC does it. Oh wait, that's not the page I wanted. There. And now here it is. Roll to cast. Okay. And it says here, rolling to cast spells can be used as an alternative to the traditional advancing magic of BX and other OSR-like games. It is the primary system used in Barrows and Borderlands. All right, very good. As you know, my spell systems that you see in like Old School Companion, the Magic and Sword and Caravan, all of those are you roll. There's no Vancian magic in my books, right? And this one, they make it clear that this is the preferred option, and it's just so much better. So when a magic user wants to use a spell, they have to roll 2 6-sided dice against the complexity. There's a spell complexity chart there, right? that will determine if your spell succeeds right away. If it succeeds after a time delay, I love that idea, right? That's really clever. Because then the wizard's like, oh no, hang on, it's coming, yeah, that sort of thing. If the spell is just not negated, right, if it's not effective, and the delays can be like 1 to 6 rounds, depending, right? So I think that's just like fantastic. I love it. And there's critical miscast tables, right? So if a character rolls a 2 when he's so you can see that the level here. Okay, so the magic user level goes from 1 to 12 here. The spell level also goes from 1 to 12. Isn't that interesting? More on that in a second. And if the M line there is when is when the spell is doomed to fail, right? And so a level 1 character can roll to cast a level 1 spell, and if he gets a 7 or higher, it'll go off. But if he gets a 7, it'll go off as with a delay, right? And delayed for 1 turn, right? If he gets a 2, then the spell is just not going to work, and it is going to cause a miscast, right? So this is the way it works. And then if you get it to, you could try to cast higher level spells in theory, right? But if you do, the odds keep getting worse and worse, right? So that's basically the way that the system manages it. And then if you get a double 1, you cause a critical miscast, right? And that critical miscast, you roll a D100, and it can have some really terrible results, right? So being a wizard is very risky business. You have to really think about what you're gonna do, right? Because I mean, if you can get some of these things are not that terrible, right? Like a false self appears nearby. It mocks and ridicules the caster for 1d6 days, right? That's okay. The caster forgets 1 random spell from their spell book. Well, that's annoying. Caster's hair changes to unnatural hues, -1 charisma. But like at the very top, the caster is obliterated. Nothing remains but ashen static, right? 00. The caster was never born. So, there can be some serious consequences when you get snake eyes, which means that as a wizard, you have to be very cautious about the spells that you use. And then here we have the spell list, right? And most of the spell list, the spells themselves are basically very similar to the D&D spells. However, you will notice that here we have some 10th, 11th, and 12th level spells. Now, what's that about? Well, you've got... Oh, went too far there. Where is that? That's already the cleric spells there. Magic user. All right. So magic user, so an example, like, because this is an epic setting, right? And this is like epic level magic that you're supposed to have, right? So there's Adaptive Blast, which summons a crackling bolt of primal force that manifests the most effective form of elemental destruction against the target. So it could be flame, cold, acid, sonic force, electricity, caustic alkali, whatever causes the greatest harm. The blast unerringly selects the ideal energy type and strikes with brutal efficiency, doing 1d6 damage per level. Especially useful against creatures with multiple resistances or unknown defenses. That's interesting. Castle of the Infinite, right? So you create a portal to a personal demiplane. This is essentially the Bastion from like the new 5.5 edition, except here it actually makes sense because it's magic, right? Whereas in 5. Well, never mind. Sorry. In 5.5 sucks. Damnation. The caster places a silent, invisible mark on a creature's soul. There's no saving throw, no pain, only a quiet finality. The spell has no immediate effect, but when the target next dies, their soul is torn from the material world and hurled into the lowest hell. utterly beyond retrieval. No resurrection, reincarnation, or wish can return them. Jaws of the snake god, right? Summon a massive spectral skull like that of a serpent deity. It's invisible to most. Those with true seeing or see invisible will behold it. The skull floats at double a man's speed, teleporting without error. It can be directed to the caster or left to hunt autonomously. Its bite is 1d100 damage per strike and bypasses all natural armor. And that's just the 10th level ones, right? 11th level, Starfall. The caster summons a star to fall, to strike a location of their choosing. The star arrives in 1d6 days. Upon impact, roll percentile dice to determine effect, right? So it can create up to like a mile crater. Daemon creation allows to design a unique daemon. Caster receives 10 characteristic points to build the daemon. The daemon has is included with one hand, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 torso, movement of 12, range, touch, duration permanent until slain or dismissed. So you literally have a spell to let you create daemons with like a build system, right? Which is really clever. You know, gray beam, a focused beam of deathless gray light from the caster's fingertips, travel to a single magical item. The item must save or be permanently stripped of all magical power. Only a simultaneous wish casting by 3 different casters can restore the object. Waves of Insanity. Nullify a creature of all magical effects. Level 12. You create a black hole. You can also create a 1 mile long dark forest that bursts from the earth. The trees grow to 100 feet tall and the entire area is cloaked in a supernatural fog, like you create Barovia, basically. In the forest, there's 1d100 giant spiders, 1d100 evil shadows, 1d100 orcs, all under the caster's command. It's basically, that's how you want to create your, like, evil tower. There you go. Genocidal Rage. The spoken curse. The caster causes the immediate death of the defined number of human beings within a 1 mile radius. Such as a mad marching army or a village. Victims collapse silently, often without wounds or explanation. Grand Aura, it creates a magic aura that manifests overwhelming magical power. Based on the caster's alignment, all creatures within line of sight are affected. So if it's evil, you create this massive eclipse, darkness, lightning, etc. If you're good, the sun flares with brilliance and white light erupts from your fingertips, striking at your enemies. Starcraft. The caster conjures a massive magical starship, complete with cabins, kitchens, cargoes, etc. It can travel at 10 million miles an hour. There are no controls. The vessel responds to a magic command. The entire party aboard can live comfortably, observing the stars or launching expeditions across planes. Volcano, you create a volcano. So like, this is great stuff, right? Like, so most of the other spells, by the way, right? Like, if you look at the list, you will recognize most of the D&D spells here, right? You know, detect magic, hold portal, sleep shield, magic missile, invisibility, wizard lock, all of those, they're all there. Right? But the system to use it is suddenly wild and unpredictable, and you have the addition of these like absolute epic level 10th, 11th, and 12th level spells. Right? So I think that by itself is already absolutely genius. But we're not quite done here because, all right, I think this is it here. Apart from that, we also have Psionics here. And I've always had not the best relationship with Psionics either, for that matter. Certainly not D&D Psionics. So there is a psychic class in the main book, right? And so this explains how much they have in each discipline. It can also be taken in lesser form by people who aren't of that class, right? You get a way to check, which is very similar to what Gygax had in AD&D, I think, to check to see if your character who isn't a psionic class might have some psionic ability, right? And if you have 95 or higher, then you can have a wild psionic discipline. To use a discipline, a character declares which discipline they're attempting. They roll a d6, awakening it. On a roll of equal or less than the character's current investment in that discipline, it is activated. So if you roll a 1, you are exhausted for the day and you cannot use it again until 8 hours of resting is completed. If a 1 is rolled, the character may not make a push. If a character fails to activate the discipline by rolling over the investment, then they may try again next round. The character can also choose to skip a roll and activate the ability as if they rolled a 1. It'll still exhaust them. They can try to push a discipline, rolling each round to build a greater result. The new roll is added to a running total. If any roll exceeds the discipline investment amount, the push fails and the character must start over. Only disciplines marked as pushable can be done in this way, right? So it's interesting because it lets you try to take different risks to get different power levels, right? And you have psychic duel stuff here. This is a lot, again, very close to what Gygax was doing in the AD&D book. Well, I think that it's clearly more readable, and the mechanics of it are better. You're not spending points, which is the Psionics was point buy. That's bad. If it's but like this, what you're doing is you're rolling again, basically, right? You're rolling where you have to get a number within a certain range. The minimum being a 1, and if you do a 1, you can't use it again for the day. What's this? What's this? Oh, it's Domino. Hello, Domino. You came right at the end, Domino. We're nearly done. Are you having a psychic duel with someone? Possibly yourself? Right. She's not that interested, it seems. These are good little psionic rules. And I'm sure that if you are the type of guy that likes psionics a lot, you'll probably like that part of it too. Like I said, I am super impressed with Barrows and Borderlands. And if you go back now and you watch the first video, if you haven't seen it already, you'll see why I think it's so cool in terms of setting and the character classes and whatnot. And now you've seen the magic section. And there are 2 more books in the series that I will get around to reviewing. I'll remind you guys, if you enjoy my reviews, and if you've watched all the way to here, I guess you must, then please be sure to promote them, because review videos do not do as well in terms of views as videos where I'm ranting about WotC, right? Or even videos where I'm giving other types of DM advice or something like that. But I think review videos are really important because it provides people access to information about what OSR stuff is coming out, or other RPGs maybe, but mostly OSR for me these days. And it gives you an idea about, whether something is worth getting or not, and that sort of thing. So please do share the video anywhere you can. Hit the like button. And be sure to check out, by the way, the Red Room store. They're still around. They've got 1 more month to go. And my latest product there, which you can actually buy right now, is the Medieval Authentic City Guide to Krakow. So if you play Baptism of Fire, you'll probably want to check that out for sure. And if not, you could still take it. You could make it into a fantasy city or something, and it's going to be a very medieval-looking fantasy city. That book or any other one of the Pundit files is just $3.50. And I'll remind everyone that when the Red Room store shuts down, the Pundit files will not be available for purchase right away again. Now, I do intend that we are going to bring them back, probably on drive-thru. But, if you are looking, if there was something you were thinking of getting in the Pundit files, in any one of the 40 issues we've done so far, then you should totally not hesitate, because I could not say how many months it will be until the Pundit files are available for sale again, okay? So keep that in mind. You can get that only at the Red Room and just for $3.50. Check out all my other products as well. If you want a hint of what like the rules, the mechanics part of Sons of Heaven is going to be like, you can check out Star Adventure. Sword and Caravan is a fantastic exotic setting for medieval authentic roleplay. And this is the Old School Companion 3, the largest and last of the Old School Companions, which has, as you noticed, quite a few magic rules, but also a lot of other stuff too. It has adventures in medieval colleges. It has a couple of new, well, it has one new class. It has an extended prior history. It has stuff on aristocracy, features of local towns, secret societies, medieval cities. So here you get 3 other medieval cities there: Ipswich, Kingston, and Exeter, and more new, really weird medieval monsters. Right. So those are just some of the things you can get on drive-through. You gotta just check those out. The links are in the description of this video and all my other videos below. You just press the more thing and it'll expand, and then you can look up every link you want of any of the books that I create. And I will, of course, put the link for where you can get Barrows and Borderlands. So that's everything for today. Currently smoking. This is a Lorenzetti Poker plus Argento Roots.